All right, battlers, welcome back to a brand new video. We are talking about the month of March, and it is really insane. There's just too much going on. I made a handy calendar to try to help everybody keep track of it, but still, the FOMO is real. There's so much going on in this month. It's really ridiculous. But I will run through everything that's pertinent to PvPers. If you're a battler, if you just started getting into PvP because of Go Battle League, these are the things you need to know. We're going to talk about the raid weekends. We're going to talk about special spawns. We're going to talk about the research breakthrough, month-long events, the battle tower in St. Louis, as well as the new buff to shadow Pokemon. So definitely stay tuned. This is an action-packed episode and my first ever month guide. So if you like it, let me know down in the comments below. Like, comment, and then if you really love it and you like this and battle videos, please subscribe. So let's talk first about what's already happened. We did have that Pokemon celebration with the Armored Mewtwo return, as well as the clone Pokemon, and then shortly thereafter we did have the Nidorino and Party Hat Gengar raid day. So what you need to know about Armored Mewtwo is that in Ultra League, it is rank 6. Actually very good Ultra League Pokemon. The recommended moveset is Confusion, the new Psy Strike, and Dynamic Punch or Rock Slide. It's a very great generalist. It does get beaten up by Giratina and other Pokemon like that, but it is a great swap in and a great lead. So if you look at the Master League, it is ranked number 29 overall. As with everything in the Master League, you want perfect IVs, 15, 15, and 15. Again, same moveset of Confusion, Psy Strike, and Dynamic Punch or Rock Slide. It's up to you. Just for reference, all of my rankings come from pvpoke.com. I will leave a link to the website down in my description below if you'd like to go visit. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's a wonderful site. I'm gonna be referencing it a lot in this video. Next, let's talk about these clone Pokemon. So if you were lucky enough to get an unweather boosted version of these raids, you could possibly trade these Pokemon to get them for Great League. Things like Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise are staples of the Great League, especially with their Community Day moves. So if you were new to PvP and you missed out on this, find somebody at a raid who you're not already friends with and then trade with them to get the lowest IV spread possible. With everything in Great League, you want low attack, high defense, and high stamina. So good luck in your low-level clone raid trades. Next is the Ultra League. So a lot of trainers maybe only powered up their Community Day Pokemon for the Great League. If you caught a weather-boosted version of these Pokemon, they had CPs in excess of over 2,000. So you only need a little bit more Stardust to get them up to the 2,500 mark. The only exception there is Blastoise. It does max out under 2,500, so you will need to bring that all the way up to maximum, but it's really great in the Ultra League. It does reach probably its prime in terms of bulk in the Ultra League itself, right under that 2,500 CP cap. In terms of Great League, let's start with Venusaur. Venusaur is ranked number 14 overall. Again, what you really want is 0 attack, 14 defense, and 11 stamina. You want Vine Whip, Frenzy Plant, and Sludge Bomb. So don't TM away Frenzy Plant. You definitely want to add Sludge Bomb to that Pokemon, and it's only 10,000 dust, which is great. For Charizard, it is ranked 86 in Great League. The IVs you want are 0, 15, and 13. Fire Spin or Air Slash is up to you with Blast Burn and Dragon Claw. And then Blastoise in Great League is ranked number 34. It does learn Water Gun, Hydro Cannon, and then Ice Beam. So definitely good picks. Moving on to the Ultra League. For the Ultra League Venusaur, you want, again, low attack, high defense, high stamina. 1, 15, 14 is ideal. It is ranked number 25 overall. And one of the best aspects of Venusaur is that it beats so many hard counters in the Ultra League. Things like Togekiss, Poliwrath, Snorlax, and Clefable all fall to the plant covered toad of Venusaur, so it's pretty awesome. Going to the Ultra League in Charizard, it is ranked number 18 overall, which is really special. 0, 13, 15 is ideal. It beats things like Registeel, Togekiss, Venusaur, Alolan and Articuno. So if you were looking for something in the Ultra League to beat some of those meta Pokemon and you didn't have it during the preseason, when Ultra League rolls around to the regular season, you can definitely use all of those Pokemon there. So Finally, we have Blastoise. Ultra League ranked 21. You need a perfect Blastoise, though, 15, 15, and 15. It does beat things like Togekiss, Articuno, Charizard, and Registeel, and it overall makes for a great generalist as long as you don't encounter too much grass. So definitely hold on to those clone Pokemon, trade the low-level ones to try to reroll the IVs, and then good luck using them in the Go Battle League. Moving on to some of these month-long events, we do have some interesting things going on. The raid boss for the month of March is Thundurus. Now, Thundurus has actually a very nice moveset. It does have access to Thundershock, but the thing holding it back is that it is just not bulky enough for PvP. You definitely want to raid some, maybe keep some in your box in case something changes. I will say a lot of people, when they encounter Pokemon like Thundurus and they say, well, you know, it's not going to be good in PvP, so I forget about it, and then we get burned like we did with Registeel. The exception here with Thundurus is that it just doesn't have the general bulk to do really well in battling, so I don't think you need to be very worried about missing out on this Pokemon. Again, add it to your decks, maybe raid for the TMs like every battler needs, but other than that, it's not a must-have Pokemon. The next is the Research Breakthrough. Now, a lot of battlers are really upset about this. We are getting Ferroseed in the research box, which is just not... It's not up to snuff with what we expect. I mean, you work every single day, 7 days a week to try to get this box, and then you get a Ferroseed. Well, there are a couple of advantages. The first is the Stardust. You do get 5,000 Stardust for opening your research box, which is special. It's pretty nice with a star piece that goes to 7,500. So if you're able to stack that on top of some other things, I guess you could make it worth it. But that's always a nice bonus. More Stardust always helps. Ferroseed is actually what I consider a anti-meta Pokemon. In the Great League, it is ranked number 139 because it does have significant losses. However, it does have some very notable wins, especially against fairies. So it does win against Azumarill, Lantern, and Togekiss, but it does lose extremely hard to fire. Being a grass and steel type, you do not want to see Charizard or anything with Fire Spin for sure. In Ultra League, it is a little bit of the same story here. You want a 15-15-15 perfect Ferrothorn because it does max out under 2,500. It is ranked number 137 on PvPoke. I recommend Bullet Seed, but it does pick up, I think, 3 or 4 more wins with Metal Claw. So it can be viable, and it does have some really nice wins. The Ultra League wins are a little bit more foggy, but definitely comment down below if you think Ferrothorn is going to be a good in Ultra League PvP. The final thing is the special research with the Team Rocket. You're going to get Entei. So in the previous months, we got Raikou, we got Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. With the new addition of these Shadow Pokemon bonuses, you definitely want to be collecting these Pokemon because once they go away, you really can't get them again. I actually don't have a Shadow Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, or Raikou because I just haven't been doing these raids. I didn't think they were that important, and it really felt like a gamble when you did all this work to get to Giovanni, and then you beat Giovanni, and then your Moltres has, 3, 5, and 6 as its IVs. It didn't seem worth it, but with the new updates to Shadow Pokemon, it might actually be worth it. So those are the month-long events. Moving on to Spotlight and Mystery Hour. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on the Spotlight Hour and Mystery Hour, but the important thing that you need to know is that we get 5 Spotlight Hours this month, and we get 4 Mystery Hours as well. So these are 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. local time. We're going to get certain things for the Spotlight Hour, like a special Pokemon will spawn more often or generally increase spawns. And then for the Mystery Hour, it could be a bonus like Candy or Stardust or XP. So it's impossible to really predict what's going to happen here. So just keep an eye out for those events, and let's move on to the next thing. Taking a look at the Go Battle League. So Master League is currently the league that you can play in the Go Battle League. It's been really tough for me. I have a hard time in Master League. The meta is so limited, takes so much resources, but if you've been raiding a lot and you have a lot of rare candy, a lot of TMs, a lot of Stardust to power up these legendaries, then you're probably loving it. I do think it has a lot of play and it can be fun. It's just so resource intensive that I've been having a hard time with it. But battlers rejoice, especially if you like the Great League, because you've done the Silph Arena. All signs point to the Go Battle League switching over to Season 1 of the Great League on March 9th. The Master League will be ending, I believe, at 4 o'clock local time on the 9th, which is Monday. And then barring any kind of code updates, any patches that Niantic has to make, maybe Niantic takes maybe a couple hours to patch anything that we've pointed out to them as being an exploit or an issue. Then barring that kind of delay, I think we're going to see Great League on the 9th. I don't think Niantic is really going to waste a lot of time. I think they want to keep these things rolling, just like they've kept their events rolling. So expect Great League to come back. This is Season 1, so Preseason was fun. I hope everybody learned a lot. I know that I definitely did, especially about Ultra and Master League. Take all those lessons you've learned and then do your very best in Season 1 of the Great League. I'm going to be publishing Go Battle League videos, team guides, and things like that, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you want to see that, I have to self-plug just one more time. Just subscribe, and I'll have those videos coming to you shortly. For the month of March, we have some interesting raid bosses here. I'm just going to run through the tiers and talk about their PvP viability and maybe mention just briefly their raid viability as well. So tier 1, we have Cranidos. Cranidos does evolve into Rampardos. It does make for a great raider as it's the best rock type attacker, but it doesn't really have the bulk to withstand a lot of hits in the PvP scene. So something like Rhyperior with Smackdown is probably better here. Cubchoo is decent. It does evolve into, I think Beartick is the name. Beartick is okay. It has a pretty decent moveset, but not a lot of bulk. So maybe there's some play for that in the Great League or the Ultra League. Dwebble is one we need to look out for. If you're going to do a tier 1 just to get your raid for the day, I really recommend Dwebble or the last Pokemon on this list, Timber. Dwebble does turn into Crustle. Crustle can learn Fury Cutter and Smackdown. It is a very interesting, I believe, bug rock type that is useful for a lot of Silph Cups. Clink we've seen before. I really think since Magneton got its legacy attacks back, Clink's value has really dropped, but again, Clink might be useful in the future. And then Timber is probably the coup de grace of this tier 1 raid boss list. Timber does evolve into Conkeldurr, so if you don't have one that's ready for the Master League, when the actual Master League rolls back around, once the regular season starts, Conkeldurr might be really useful there. Going on to tier 2, we have Alolan Executor. The Dragon Grass type just makes it so weak to ice. I have a really hard time running this, but it is one of my favorite Pokemon. I think it's just hilarious. We do have Boldore as well, which is new. That one I don't know much about. Let me know in the comments below if that one's going to be useful. Graveler is okay, but what you really want is that Legacy Mudshot. If we do have Graveler come back with Mudshot, that could be really useful. Mawile, actually Shadow Mawile is something I wanted to touch on because Bite is a one-turn fast move and the Shadow bonus adds 20% attack. If you can get a Mawile from one of the rockets, it's definitely really, really useful. It just shreds things, especially with Power Up Punch in the arsenal there. And we have Sneasel as well. So Sneasel is decent. It's very glassy, but I did find some use for it in the Ultra League as is it's an ice and dark type, so it does well against flying types and ghost dragons like we've seen a lot of with the Giratinas. However, it does fall really, really hard to fire types and charmers. Going on to tier 3, we do have Abomasnow. That one's just a very glassy Pokemon. It might be useful in a Silph Cup. Aerodactyl, I found a lot of use for in the Rose Cup because of Rock Throw. That was a lot of fun. Alolan Raichu, which I don't think is ever going away. We all know about that one. And if you haven't checked out Valor Ash's budget team for the Great League and Go Battle League, Alolan Raichu actually makes that list. He does recommend Volt Switch with Grass Knot and then Thunder Punch, I believe, but I think Thunder Punch or Psychic might both have some good play. Then we have Jinx as well and Piloswine. Never sleep on Confusion users. You definitely want some Jinx because Confusion Jinx might have some play down the line. And then Piloswine did have its community day back several months ago, so you're not going to get Ancient Power, but Mamoswine with Bulldoze and Avalanche does have some decent play in the Master League. In tier 4, there's really not much to talk about. We do have Aggron. Everybody knows Aggron. It looks cool. I wish it was better. Alola Marowak, which is never going to leave our side. It's just going to be around forever. Golem, which I really wish had legacy moves, but I doubt we're going to get that. And then probably the best pick here is Tyranitar. So Tyranitar is a dark and rock type Pokemon. It is great for raiding. In PvP, it can be viable, but I think Shadow Tyranitar really is just going to knock this one over to the side. You definitely want Shadow Tyranitar for that boosted bite damage if you're going to be running it in the Great League, or excuse me, in the Ultra League or Master League. Going on to tier 5, we have Thundurus, which I talked about just a moment ago. It's going to be a decent Pokemon, but it just doesn't have the bulk to really hang. And then you have Regigigas, which its moves really hold it back. If it had something fast charging, God forbid Thundershock, or even a Volt Switch or something like that, it could be really useful. But Giga Impact just takes at least half an hour to get to, it feels like, and it's just not that viable in PvP so far. From March 6th through 9th, we have our first weekend event. We're going to have the Team Go Rocket Takeover and the Darkrai Special Raids. So what you need to know about the Team Go Rocket is, first and foremost, this Shadow bonus is really, really insane. The basic breakdown is that you get 20% more attack and 20% less defense. So Pokemon that are weighted for attack or have moves that are really great in an offensive mode are going to get a big boost here, especially one-turn moves like Lick or Wing Attack or Dragon Breath. Those are all really going to benefit, but also the harder hitting moves, things like Confusion or Charm, are actually getting a big boost. If you haven't seen Kieng's video on the top 5 best Great League Pokemon, best Great League Shadow Pokemon, sorry, it's a mouthful, definitely check that out. I'll leave a link to his video in the description down below. But in terms of the Shadow Pokemon, what you're going to be looking for is to just collect as many as possible. Again, the FOMO here is really serious with these March events. You don't want to miss out on Shadow Pokemon. For example, I went back and looked through my box and I have a Shadow Ralts, which I just evolved to a Shadow Gardevoir. And if you watch Kieng's video, you'll see just how incredible a Shadow Gardevoir with Charm can be. Definitely keep these things in mind when you're going through these Team Rocket events. So we're going to get increased Team Rocket stops. We're going to get Absol in the wild, Scorpy shiny, and other things like that. So the key with Scorpy is that, sure, the shiny is nice, and we all want to flex our shinies, but Drapion is actually ranked number 47 in Ultra League, 78 in Great League, but it has particularly good use in Sylph Arena Cups. We've seen a lot of Drapion in the Sylph Arena, and it's very, very useful, especially in this month's Toxic Cup. So if you don't have a good IV Scorpy, maybe you can get that shiny Great League Scorpy that you've been looking for here. It's going to be really nice. Going back to the Team Rocket stuff, with the Team Rocket leaders, we're going to have their old Pokemon returning. So some of these things that you didn't have access to before, like Shadow Sneasel, are going to be available again. And with this new Rocket boost that Niantic has just implemented, it's going to be a good idea to pick up on those. Additionally, we have Darkrai Raid Weekend. So Darkrai is a mythical Pokemon. You cannot trade this Pokemon to reroll the IVs, but it actually is extremely viable in PvP, particularly in the Ultra League and the Master League. The moveset that you want is Snarl, Dark Pulse, and Focus Blast. In Ultra League, it's ranked number 171, so not very good. In the Ultra League, there's a lot more variety. You're going to run into a lot of Charmers and Fighters. Both of those typings will just destroy Dark-type Darkrai. But in the Master League is where Darkrai really shines. Darkrai is ranked number 11, and I consider this a hard counter for things like Giratina. It does have that Snarl and Dark Pulse to really slap Giratinas, but it also has Focus Blast, so you can really surprise the Melmetals and the Snorlaxes that you're going to find in the Master League. So if you don't have a PvP viable Darkrai for the Master League, it might be a good time to stock up on those as well. Next up is the Giratina Raid Weekend. There is not much left to say about Giratina battlers. If you've been in the Ultra League or Master League, you know this thing is a freaking terror. In the Ultra League, Giratina Altered Form is key, so while you're raiding those Altered Forms, definitely try to stock up on candy. You're either going to want Shadow Claw or Dragon Breath, depending on your playstyle, but Ancient Power and Dragon Claw seem to be the best charge moves for it. Although I've seen some battlers run Shadow Sneak, I do prefer the Ancient Power and Dragon Claw mix. As far as the Altered versus the Origin form, Altered is ranked very highly on Master League, but you're not seeing much of it, or at least I am not seeing it, because it doesn't hard counter anything really hard. It's a really good kind of safe swap, soft counter because of its insane bulk, but it isn't as deadly as the Giratina Origin form. The good thing here is that the Giratina candies that you collect from your Altered Form raids are going to count towards your Giratina Origin form. So if you are just on the cusp of maybe double moving your Giratina, or if you just need more candies in general because you didn't do the Giratina raids in the past, this is a great opportunity to stock up on your Giratina candy for both Altered and Origin forms. The next thing we have to look forward to is the Cobalion Raid Weekend. This does coincide with a Bug and Steel type event, which is also going on at the same time. Cobalion's getting a new move called Sacred Sword. So we don't know how much Sacred Sword is going to do, what kind of energy requirement it's going to have. However, you can expect that to be updated on PvPoke as soon as it becomes available. So the moveset right now that we are looking for is Metal Claw, Stone Edge, and Close Combat. It is ranked number 66 overall in the Ultra League and number 58 overall in the Master League. So kind of a off meta pick, a fringe pick, if you will. It's not really that viable. However, Sacred Sword might change that. We're not really sure exactly what will happen. I also want to mention just briefly the bugs here. So you do have Carablast and Nincada entering eggs, entering wild spawns, and I think Carablast is definitely the more exciting one here. You are getting the shiny form of Nincada, so you can have a shiny Ninjask, and that's cool. It might be useful in some Silph Cups in the future, but overall, it's kind of an afterthought to me. The real thing here is the Carablast. The Escavalier, its evolution in Great League, is actually really good, and it is also very, very good in Ultra League as well. You're still going to want that low attack, high defense, high stamina though. So if you're catching a lot of Carablasts, make sure to trade them with people to try to re-roll those stats. Don't just transfer them away because they're actually really, really valuable. So, and then it's also a really good Pokemon in the Toxic Cup as well. And then you'll see on Monday, I have a question mark there. So there is a theory among the data miners that we're going to see a special research involving a Pokemon that I actually have no familiarity with. This is a later gen Pokemon that I'm new to. Genesect is basically what I'm trying to say. So Genesect might be coming to special research in a similar kind of fashion that we saw Regigigas. It might be a paid event. We're not really sure. Data miners have discovered a special group of research tasks called a drive to investigate. Now, it's a play on words because the drive for Genesect actually relates to the type of attack that it releases. So again, I don't want to speak too much on this Pokemon because this is a theory and I'm not very familiar with Genesect, but keep an eye out for that. It also has a lot of play in my mind because Genesect is a steel and bug type Pokemon as well. So that might be something to look out for. Next up, we have the Lugia Special Raid Weekend. Lugia has been in raids countless times before. This is not something new. A lot of trainers have done their Lugia raids and they are sick of doing them, but we are getting Lugia again. This Pokemon is getting recycled, but this time it does have a new move, Aeroblast. So the key with Aeroblast is that it needs to be a better move than Sky Attack is. And Sky Attack is already a great move. It has a low energy requirement, dishes out a moderate amount of damage, so a lot of trainers probably will opt for Sky Attack if Aeroblast isn't better, but it is a signature move for Lugia. Now, the moveset you want to look for is Dragon Tail, Extra Sensory as your fast move, one or the other depending on your playstyle, but the charge moves are Sky Attack and Hydro Pump. Hopefully here, Aeroblast replaces Sky Attack, but we can't know for sure. We're just going to have to see how that shakes out. This actually is indicative of other things as well, battlers. So we already got Ho-Oh raids as well. We've already gotten our Shiny Ho-Oh. This time we're getting Shiny Lugia with Aeroblast. I think we can all expect Shiny Ho-Oh with Sacred Fire to come next. So definitely keep a lookout for that. In the Ultra League, Lugia is ranked number 42 overall, so it's a great generalist, kind of a mid-tier pick. And then in the Master League, because of its stat product, it literally has the highest stat product of any Pokemon available in the Master League. It is ranked number 16. So it is a Psychic and Flying type and does make for a great generalist, but it's going to get walled really hard by Giratinas per usual. So it's definitely a great Pokemon, though, to keep. And if you can get a Great League Lugia, it actually is very viable there as well. It does have insane bulk, even at the Great League. So try to do those trades and reroll those IVs. Coinciding with the Lugia raid event, we are getting increased Psychic type spawns. Niantic is introducing 2 new Psychic types. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on those. I will leave the links down in the description to the Gamepress site where you can look at these Pokemon's evolutions and movesets. But based on what they have, I don't think these things are going to be extremely viable. However, it's always important to collect these things just in case a Silph Cup comes up where they become useful. I do want to mention the overall Psychic type spawns though. So I went through PvPoke, searched for Psychic in the Great League, and found a few Pokemon that you really want to stock up on in case you are getting serious about Go Battle League and you want the best Psychic types around. So at number 17 overall, we have Medicham. Medicham is a fighter and Psychic type. A lot of you trainers are probably already familiar with it, but if you want a perfect meta type, which is what you need to get the perfect Medicham, because it does max out under 1500 CP, the perfect one is ideal. Definitely go out and hunt for those meta types because I think they will be spawning. I'm not 100% sure on these spawns here. These are just some of the best Psychic types available. Again, moving down the list, we have Hypno at number 44. Shadow Ball was reintroduced, so that's a great move to have. You bait with your Thunder Punch or Ice Punch and then throw the Shadow Ball. It can be really devastating. Then we have Alolan Raichu, which has been a raid since we were 10 years old. It feels like it's never going away. Bronzong is really great as well. It's a Steel and Psychic type, so it does have some play against Fairy types, as it does resist Fairy type attacks as well as Dragon type attacks. Steel is just a great typing. We do have Gallade as well. Gallade is great in all 3 leagues, Great League, Master League, and the Ultra League, so definitely stock up on those candies, and then Gardevoir as well. Now, the distinction I want to make about these 2 Pokemon is that you don't necessarily need the Community Day Synchronoise to make them work. Gallade with Leaf Blade and Close Combat is actually really, really solid. And then Gardevoir with Charm, Shadow Ball, and I think Dazzling Gleam are the moves. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are actually really good moves as well. Then we have Claydol, which is really good in Toxic Cup. It is a ground psychic type, so you want to catch those ball toys. The shiny ball toy release is actually a very nice coincidence there as well. Then we have Slowbro and Slowking. Those are pretty decent Pokemon. They're very tricky to use though, because a lot of trainers use use Confusion users that have psychic typing to counter the poison grass types, but these boys lose out pretty hard to Victory Bell due to their water typing and Venusaur and things like that. However, if you can find a way to use them with Water Gun, that's also PvP viable. They're very interesting picks. And then finally we have Executor. I think Execute and Executor both have some play in the Toxic Cup. Now, speaking of the Toxic Cup, we also have some choices there. Claydol is ranked number 38 overall in the Toxic Cup with Confusion, Psychic, and Earth Power. Executor is ranked number 44 with Confusion, Seed Bomb, and Psychic. Girafarig comes in. Shout out to Scrub Lord Dustin. It comes in with at number 55 with Confusion, Psychic, and Thunderbolt. And then Execute is number 112 overall, but I really love this moveset. Confusion, Ancient Power, and Seed Bomb. So if you need a Psychic type that can really hit the flyers hard, can resist a lot of things due to its grass typing, Execute might be the one for you as well. And finally, I have some kind of minor notes here and there to kind of tie things up. So the first thing is Raid Hour is on Wednesdays, I think 6 to 7 p.m. local time. If you're looking to raid some Thundurus, that is a great time to go out and raid because a lot of other people are doing it. It is right after the workday, so a lot of people just kind of leave work and they go straight to the raid. So if you're looking to stock up on your items and meet some people in your community, definitely do that. Additionally, we have the Missouri Safari Zone. This is going on from the 27th through the 29th. The most important day to me in this event is the 28th. This is the Missouri Battle Tower at the event. You're going to see 350 battlers come together for a Sylph Arena themed cup. It's going to be a Toxic Cup, and it's just going to be one of the biggest cups ever. It's going to be really, really exciting. I definitely think the next wave of these mega cups is going to come at these events, and luckily Pokemon Go is holding these Safari Zones, so all these battlers are already all on this centralized location. It's I don't want to say easy, but it's more convenient to get people together for something this big and this important to our game and our ambitions making this game an esport. I also wanted to touch briefly on Community Day. Abra is going to be the Community Day Pokemon according to data miners. It doesn't have a lot of bulk as any of its forms, Kadabra and Alakazam included. It doesn't have a lot of bulk, so it's not really that viable in PvP. It could be good for raiding, especially if it gets a particular move, but the spiciest shakeup I can imagine is if Niantic were to add something like Draining Punch or Recover to Alakazam's move pool, because then it would give you a move that actually heals your Pokemon. Now, I thought a while back that we would get this with Mewtwo, but I think it would add a lot of new dimensions to the PvP landscape if you were able to get a move like that. So don't hold your breath. It's not confirmed or anything like that, but it could be really useful if it turns out to be the case. And finally, when you're setting up your calendar for the month, go ahead and add your local and your remote cups to it. We battlers have so much to worry about and so many things going on all the time. It definitely feels like the FOMO is just almost out of control, but I hope this video helped you to identify what events were important to you, what events could help you as a battler. Of course, in a perfect world, we love this game so much. We wish we could just go out and do it all just every single day and do it as a full-time job, but unfortunately that is not the case for the vast majority of us, myself included. So pick and choose your events, kind of I hope this video helped you to kind of decide what was really critical that you might miss out on, and what was maybe less important that you could forego, or maybe you could trade for it later. Things like the Darkrai being mythical and not being able to trade for it is probably important to note. But other things, you know, like you can trade Giratinas. The Genesect thing might or might not happen. The Lugia Aeroblast we've yet to see, so definitely keep your finger on the pulse of everything that's going on. If you enjoyed this graphic, hop over to my Twitter and like it or give me a retweet. I would really appreciate it. It did take quite a bit of time to make this graphic, but I hope it helps people to just kind of get this all under control, because Niantic is really rolling out these events and it feels really hard to keep up sometimes, but we battlers and girls at PvP have to stick together. So let's just keep on doing the thing that we do and make our community the best. This has been Speediest Chief. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you like this vlog style thing that I'm doing, maybe I'll do more of it. It really depends on if people enjoy it. Just let me know what you think. I want to hear your feedback. I'll see you in the next video.